Happens Teesside for the 28th week of 2024. And I'm Annie. So the other night at knitting, Helen was working on her jumper for a teddy bear. And she had some recycled yarn that she's going to make some little crocheted little storage baskets that go against the wall. I think you can put plants in them as well. So that's the yarn that's on the picture. Jill's making another, what she was making last week, which is the Debbie Bliss Rialto lace sideways cardigan, which kind of goes like a 3/4 sleeve, I think it is, and it goes sideways like so, and then starts at the middle and goes out, and then so it's got these funny flaps, and then you sew the flaps at the bottom like so, and then you have a line here that you pick up the stitches and you do a different lace pattern that goes over the shoulders. So she's made about 3, I think, maybe 4 even, of this cardigan. And yeah, well, it's a nice cardigan. Faye was in France knitting a sock, and we did a video call. So that was good. So she showed us a bit of a cottage, and she's finished a shawl. So that's blocking, and yes, she was knitting a sock. But so we had a chat for a while, but then she had to hang up because there was a big storm coming. We could see the grey clouds, and she could see a rainbow, and that's what she was showing us. So I was making this, which is finished except for the buttons. Little baby cardigan, which is called Pop. The pattern is Pop. It's Daughter of a Shepherd, because I didn't mention that last time. So that's finished. I might use that pattern again though, it's quite a good one. So it's a double knit weight, and I've got the buttons, I just need to sew them on. So I'll get it finished for Shark Week, which ends tomorrow, Sunday. So that's knitted with Kinko Cutie Pie, and this colourway is Apple Pie, which somebody observed last week. They knew what colourway it was. They must do a lot of baby knitting, that's all I can say. I go through phases. So what I have left, I'm going to make a hat with, which is the Teesside hat, which is just a very plain hat with a little top knot. And I weighed this yarn to make sure I'd have enough. So I weigh my yarn on this, which is a little tiny scale, smaller than my hand. So it's a jewellery, set of jewellery scales, I think. It's very handy for weighing small amounts of yarn and being quite precise for scrappy projects. So the Teesside hat takes, there's a premature baby size, and that takes 19 grams, and I'm going to do the 0 to 3 months, which is 22 grams of double knit. So there'll be enough of that to go with my little cardigan. That'll be good, won't it? What I forgot to tell you about the spinning last week, I don't think I remembered anyway, was I was sitting next to a lady who was spinning very fine yarn, and in her bag she had a Fair Isle jumper, which was a Shetland pattern, a Jameson's pattern. So it was for her husband, and she had spun all the yarn, I think it was merino, and she'd also dyed it. So it was kind of like navy blue, mid blue, maybe a light blue, and a cream or an off-white, natural colour. and oh, I don't know if there was a black, but she'd spun it, dyed it, and knitted it. That's pretty impressive, isn't it? I don't think I mentioned her. I was really quite impressed because she was kind of helpful, because what I'm spinning, I thought might make a nice single lace weight, sort of an open work. I've got a pattern for something with a slip stitch or something that just goes around your shoulders, and I thought it might make that up really nicely. But her advice was, I think you put less twist in if you're going to use it as a single, because if you ply, obviously the twists go around each other, which makes more of a uniform yarn. And if it's only a single, if you've got too much twist, your knitting will twist as well. And another thing I've learned about spinning is once you have spun and plied or prepared it how you want it to be, and if you make it into a skein using a niddy noddy, you should wash it before you knit anything with it to relax the fibres so that it's more workable. So that was all very interesting. So that's just sitting next to somebody who knows a little bit more than me, probably quite a lot more than me. Anyhow, black coffee today. It's just black coffee. Black coffee's black coffee, isn't it? So while I'm on about spinning, this is the book I borrowed. It's called Spinning Around by Jeanine Buckridges, and that's the book. So I haven't got very far. I've just been getting in bed and reading a little bit. But I was reading about your fleece in the first place and different qualities and how to treat. And some of it was really interesting. And so I got to page 16 and she talks about the quality of your fleece. Apparently, like with a piece of china, that ring, that's good, isn't it? I hope you can hear that. So like with a piece of china, you get, apparently you're supposed to get a length of your staple and put it near your ear and I can't do it. Twang it next to your ear, and it's supposed to have ping. It's supposed to ping. That didn't ping. Also, if you're buying a raw fleece, so that's the staple, isn't it? It does say about if there's been a second cut, like a second pass with the shears. So I got this out and I can see that there was. So they didn't get quite close enough the first time. So that bit is like the second pass. So that's no good to anybody because it's not long enough to spin into anything. So I'll try with a piece of this. This has got a nice, look at that lovely crimp. I don't know if I can get this to, what was the word? Ping! Just sounds like a piece of wool being flicked. I shall keep trying. It might be rubbish, but apparently that means it's good quality if you can get a ping from it, like with your china. That's something I wouldn't have known if I hadn't had a look at that book. Also, if you have little bits of plant or bits and bobs, seeds and things in your fleece, if you comb it, you'll be able to get rid of it easily. I do like these brown colours. But if you card it, then you're going to spread it all the way through. So that's another interesting thing. And this particular lady in this book said that she can't really be bothered with all of that, so she'll like a nice clean fleece. Life's too short, isn't it, at times? Yeah. Also, if there's flakes of skin and things, it could be signs of a lice infestation, so that's not very nice at all, is it? So you wouldn't want that fleece. I think most of the fleece I've got isn't. I do have some raw fleece, and this is from last week when the guild gave us some bits, and it's still got the lanolin in it. I am wearing Collecting Breeze by Shinobu Sasaki. It's finished and I did block it, so I put it in the sink and used wool light and just left it a little while, rinsed it thoroughly, dried it flat on one of those little area things, like a gauze net on a frame. And it looked like it had really grown, but it hasn't really grown that much, I don't think, but it's relaxed. So it's not quite as fluty-wooty as it was. And yeah, it's different, isn't it? And I like the silhouette of it. Now I did 2 different cast-offs for the cuffs. So the cast-off where you knit 2 stitches or knit stitch, purl a stitch, depending on what you're doing. So maybe on a shawl it would be knit 2 stitches and then knit them 2 stitches together. Then knit the next stitch and knit them 2 stitches together. So this would be knit a stitch, purl a stitch, then purl 2 together, knit, purl, purl 2 together, or whatever. What it does make is a very stretchy cast off. So this cuff is just done with a knit 1, purl 1, pass the first stitch over the second stitch, knit the next stitch, pass the next stitch over. So it doesn't go up quite as easily, but it kind of looks neater. It does look neater. So I've got one of each. And I'm sticking with that for now because I'm quite happy wearing it, because it's just really nice layer of not too warm, not too thick. It's kind of like a I think it's slightly lighter weight than a 4-ply. I think I bought it as kind of a lace weight, but it was done on a sort of a 4-ply kind of needle. But it just gives it a nice bit of, you can see it's got a nice bit of drape. It's not too, because I usually like my knitting to be quite tight. But this is just, that's the cat. She can't help it. She needs to have a, a thumb claws catch on things. So they need cutting, and she'll let us do it. So I'll have to do that, won't I, before it's too late. So it's not, it's just quite neat, but you can see the light through it, so you can see that it's not that thick. So it's quite a favourite now. I like the shape. I think the shape's right for me.
But I just don't. It's not something I do. But it's probably something I could do with doing if I was going to be a reader, because I'm not much of a reader at all. I tend to read in the bath, or I read when I get in bed, and neither of them last that long. In fact, the bath lasts longer than the bed, because the bed, like, as soon as I get in bed, I can go cram and sleep in no time. So you don't really need to know that, do you? So that'll probably get cut out. I think I've remembered everything. I can't really show you the inside of the book, but it's getting interesting.
So I just have a little bit of the fibre that I took to the spinning class. I have a little bit of that fibre left, and then once I've finished spinning that fibre, because it was only a small bag, I thought I'd go with this small bag of Norwegian wool, I think it is. And then I'll see what I'm going to do with it, whether I'm going to ply it or whether I'm going to try and use it as a single. I could just wind a bit off, but I also need to wash it. So that's the plan for that. And this is finished and that's finished. So by next week there might be a little hat and I might start a baby blanket. I might do, I know Amy of Two Sisters and Some Yarn, her favourite bit, she does makes lots of baby blankets for Let Them Live. And, well, we don't have Let Them Live in the UK. I could have a look if we have other charities, but I've got somebody to make them for at the moment. Now, her favourite one is the Smooth Fox Baby Easy Star Blanket or something like that. So I might make one of them. That might be the plan, but you'll see next week what I decide to do. So that's it for now, I think. So, more news, maybe next week.